Hi guys, this is Ratan. Today we'll learn about useRef hook, and by the end of this video you will understand how to use useRef in your code. So basically what is useRef? Yeah. So useRef is used to obtain a reference to DOM element. So basically like how we use browser APIs to obtain a reference to a DOM element, right? So browser APIs are nothing but document.getElementById or document.getElements by class name. So with the help of these browser APIs, we obtain a reference to any DOM element. So useRef is used in similar fashion. So let's get into coding and find out. So I have written an example program for useRef over here. So this is the basic setup of useRef, okay? So this is the way we use it. We use to refer a DOM element. Okay, first of all, we import useRef and we make a function call. We call this useRef hook and assign it to a variable. So here I have declared a variable input ref and assigned this to the input ref. Okay, and in turn I have assigned this input ref to the ref attribute. Okay, so ref is nothing but reference. Okay, so we can use ref attribute to any HTML tag. Over here I have used it with this on this input tag. Okay, let's console and see what we get over here. Okay, so I have console this input ref and this input ref is assigned to the ref attribute of input tag. Okay, let's check this out. Let me refresh this, and if I check the console, okay, so we are getting one object in which we have the current key and the value is input. Okay, it's the input tag itself. All right, so let me show you another thing. Let's just remove this from here and paste this here. Okay, so if I save this and refresh this, now it's referring to h1 tag, right? So we would always get a current object. Okay, whenever we call the useRef, we will always have a current object, and we will have the value as h1 or any other tag that we want the reference to. Here I have given this reference to the h1 tag, right? So let me paste it back here. Before that, let me show you one more thing. Okay, so now that we know that we have a current object over here, if I do this and save, okay, so we directly have h1 tag over here, right? So okay, so we can get this value by using inner text, right? So if I use like the tag dot inner text, we would get whatever the text is inside of this h1. So these things we have done in vanilla JavaScript also, right? We just get the inner text or inner HTML of any of the tag. So in the similar way, let's check this over here. Okay, so if I refresh this, I get hello over here, right? Okay, now let's just remove it from here and paste it back over here. Okay, so let's have this console. Okay, now it's back to input tag. Okay, so basically we can do two things by referring to a DOM element. Okay, so this program is written to get the value of whatever is typed in this input element, right? Like if I type anything over here and submit, I want that value to be retained. Okay, so that value can be retained over here. Okay, so this means that if I type anything and click on submit, we can get the value of here. So this current means it has the input tag and dot value, and by giving dot value we can get the value whatever has been typed over there. Okay, so when I click on refresh, okay, if I type Ratan and submit, So I'm getting Ratan over here. Okay, so in the same way, if after retaining the value, I just don't want that value, inside this input element. So what we can do is we can assign an empty string to this value. Okay, so when let me just first refresh this. So when I type Ratan and submit, the value is retained and it is deleted from here as well. Okay, so this is one thing that you can do with the useRef. Like you can retain that value, and you can, in the end, when you submit any form, you can send that as the payload to the backend, right? And one more thing that you can do is you can use something called focus over here. Okay, which means when I refresh this, okay, so what happens is this use effect executes as soon as the component renders, right? So as soon as the component renders, what happens is that I would focus on this input ref. Okay, this is the meaning of that. So let me show you. So when I refresh this, okay, you're getting a black outline over here, right? So when I click on tab, that focus shifts to submit button, right? But when I click back here, that focus comes over here. So which means that as soon as this component is rendered, this input element has to be focused. Okay, so this is the meaning of that. So this is another thing that you can do. Okay, and one more thing that I want to tell you is that if you console this input ref over here, let me just comment this out. Okay, so when I console this input ref over here, okay, so it's showing as undefined. It's because when it's consoling it before it returns the JSX, right? So which means the component hasn't rendered yet, and at this point we don't know that which DOM element it is referring to. We would only know as soon as this JSX is written. Okay, which means we would only know as soon as this component is rendered. Okay, so that is why we get undefined over here and we get the current object over here. Okay, which means that we all know that useEff executes as soon as the component renders, so we get the value over here. Okay, so this is another way of using the useRef. All right, so if you have any questions, you can comment it out and I'll help you out. Okay, so thank you guys.